Hello everyone. I thought I'd do a video today which features how to pipe high quality audio from Endless in this case, but it could be any music app or audio app into Zoom on a Mac. Sometimes you're on a Zoom call with your other musician buddies and you're trying to have a jam and you're trying to show people different things, and you want to maybe, if you're using Endless, play some loops and then sing over the top of them, and then they can hear you through their computers, and you don't have to faff around with trying to get co-host rights to share your screen and then to share the sound of that. Well, there's an easy way to do it, relatively easy. On the Mac it's fairly easy, but there's also another video which is going to be this exact process but for PC, which I will link in the description, or hopefully there'll be a little pop-up for that video now. Okay, so what we're going to need for this is something called Black Hole. Okay, I'm going to do this with Black Hole because it's free. This is not actually the method that I use, and it's not my preferred method. For people that want my preferred method, it's actually using this thing called loopback, which is just better. It's easier. You've got more control over which applications send you the audio, but I'm not going to go into that. It's also better for latency, a little bit better for latency, but it's such a small difference that most people, unless you're using it in a professional context, kind of doing lots of streams and stuff, it's probably not worth it because loopback isn't free. And Black Hole, it is donationware, so you can donate, but you don't have to. You just download the app, and there should be a download button down there. Download it. Oh, okay, sorry, you have to actually you have to press. I can't afford to donate. I shouldn't be laughing. They're doing a really good thing here. So you put your email in there, you put your name in there. Then you're going to be able to get to a link that looks a bit like this. I would say get Black Hole 16 channels. I think some people have had issues with the 2-channel, and for some reason it didn't quite work for me as well, the 2-channel. So get the 16 channel, download that. It's going to create a package in your downloads folder. That when clicked kind of does something like this. I've already got it installed on here. And then the next step, this is this slightly, I don't know, is this complicated? Don't think of it as complicated. This is on a Mac how you make audio devices. So it should have a list of all the various different audio devices that you have in your system. So I have a few different ones. One is just my sound card on its own. And then I have different things that I've set up. But somewhere there's going to be this thing called Black Hole 16 channel, which is basically just working as a sort of audio portal, you can think of it. And you can send things to Black Hole, and it will then hopefully send it different places. But the way we get this to work is that we need to create what's called a multi-output device, which is what you're going to be setting your outputs to in your various different programs, and in the case of Zoom, the input. So we'll get onto that in a second. But so down here, you have to create the multi-output device. Okay, we can just call it multi-output device for now. You can rename it if you want. And then basically all we need to do is we need to come in here. Black Hole 16 channel is already checked, but we have to tick our sound card or our audio interface. I use the terms interchangeably, sound card and audio interface, just to let you know. So click your audio interface, and it should auto click this thing that says drift correction, I should say, and it is ticked. And also, I just ticked the drift correction on the Black Hole itself, but I don't know if you need to do that, but I just do it anyway, and it hasn't ever caused me any issues. So now we have this multi-output device. Now that should be a source and a destination for audio. So I'll just show you how this works then. After we've created this multi-output device, we're going to come over to Endless, which is our example, but it can work in multiple DAWs or audio programs. We come up to this audio settings, and then we just need to select whatever we've just called our multi-output device. In this case, we haven't renamed it, so it's just called multi-output device. And then that output is going to be going to Black Hole. Then the input can stay the same because we're still just using our audio in that we were before. So as you can see, I've got monitor input here, which now sounds a bit weird because the mic that I'm using to record this is going on at the same time. If I just mute that. Yeah. Oh, here we are. We got monitoring in Endless with reverb. Okay. So now we can just simply go into Zoom. Okay. This is a meeting. But so you can get to the Zoom settings in a number of different ways. Let me just take that monitor input off. But probably the easiest way is just to go down when you're in a meeting. It's just to go down to this mute button down here, and there's a little tick there, and you just hit that and go into audio settings, and you should get something like this come up. And so basically these are the settings you then want. Is you want the speaker to be whatever you're listening to it on. So in my case, that's my sound card, because I've plugged my headphones into my sound card. And then your microphone is now no longer your whatever it was before, but it's Black Hole 16 channel. And you can see that my voice is coming in here. I can see the signal, but if I go over to Endless and I don't know, hit some drums, I can't quite see everything with the windows, but if I hit some drums, all right, so all that audio is being piped into Zoom, just without me having to share my screen, without me having to share my audio. So the other thing to remember with Zoom is that if you're piping this audio in without changing some of the settings down here, it's going to clip everything, and it's going to sort of basically remove all the music, because that's what it's supposed to be trying to do, because it's optimized for speech. But all you need to do is enable this thing called original sound for musicians, which is in exactly the same area of your audio settings. So original sound for musicians, and then I keep all these three ticked: high fidelity music, echo cancellation, and then stereo. Stereo is like, you know, even though you're recording in mono with the microphones and things, once you get a few different other parts, and once people start panning, and once there's a few effects and things, it's going to be a stereo sound. So you just want to keep that as nice as you can. Yeah, obviously this is going to take more bandwidth, and if you don't have good internet, then it's going to be probably a bit shaky, and there'll be latency and things. But it doesn't really matter about the latency, because you're going to be soloing. The idea with this is you're going to be soloing over the beats that you've created on Endless, or the loops that you've created on Endless. So yeah, it's fine. So the other thing, the final thing that I would say is probably quite important, is that if you're doing this method, then you're going to want to just keep it on this black hole the whole time. So that means that you are going to have to find a way of monitoring and sending your mic when you don't want to be just sending the music. You want to also be able to talk to people without going in here and then changing it back to your mic, and then back to black hole, back to your mic. So what I do on a Mac, you actually have this free program, Garage Band. And although I don't really use it for much, because I use Ableton as my main audio program, I do actually use it for just mic monitoring. So I just set up a track here with, I don't know what I've put on it, probably like an EQ and a compressor. Yeah, so I've got a little bit of like corrective EQ there. Maybe I just threw a preset on that, I'm not sure. And I have looks like a compressor on there as well. So that's just a way, I can turn my voice down. I can turn my voice up if I need to. If I want to, I can pan, but I really don't. But that's, and then I can also hear my voice like being monitored. I'm quite used to that now when I'm doing a Zoom meeting. I like to hear my voice back to myself. I find it hard not knowing how I'm sounding to other people. It makes me less anxious about whether I'm going to be too loud or too quiet or whatever. I feel like I can talk a bit more naturally that way. Anyway, that's just a preference. So then all you would do is set up just a channel in there for monitoring. And then you do the same thing in GarageBand as you did in Endless, which is, if I go to the settings of GarageBand, settings. So then I just have to make sure that my output device for GarageBand is set to multi-output device as well. And then that's all going to go to Black Hole and then through that into Zoom, if that makes sense. Okay, so there's a few steps there, but if you just take it step by step, it should be fine. The very last thing is to say sometimes when you're selecting the multi-output device in, say, an Endless, if I select this multi-output device, and then I'm already got something in GarageBand that's going to the multi-output device. Sometimes, for some reason, Endless just goes into like really high latency. I don't really know why it does that, but I think what I did was just quit Endless and restart Endless, or quit GarageBand and then restart GarageBand. Basically, it comes back eventually. But if you run into a problem like that, it's pretty normal. Anyway, I hope that's helped you get good audio into Zoom so you can solo over your Endless Studio riffs.